theory of African internationalism. And tonight, we're giving you the internationalist analysis of art. So what is art? How can it be used to perpetuate oppression? And on the other hand, how can it be used by the oppressed to forward their liberation? This is also a fundraiser for the Black Power Blueprint. And the Black Power Blueprint is a Black economic development projects across the country, which are building rapidly here in St. Louis, Missouri, where I am currently at. And you can find out more and go and donate at blackpowerblueprint.org tonight at any point during the show. So the Uhuru Solidarity Movement is the mass front of the African People's Solidarity Committee, which is the constituent organization of the African People's Socialist Party, which extends the struggle for Black liberation into the white community, building a mass movement for white reparations to African people. We, of course, want to start by saluting the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, Chairman Omali Yeshitela and Deputy Chair Onezene Yeshitela, whose vision for a liberated Black Power future has won us in the white community to see our true interests and unity with African people struggling to end all forms of oppression. We have a fantastic program tonight called Revolutionary Art and the Struggle for Reparations. And this is a call for white artists to stand with Black Power. We are extremely honored to interview our featured guest speaker tonight, a Boston-based photographer and member of the African People's Socialist Party, Dexter Emlemwingu, who sits on the leading body of the International People's Democratic Uhuru movement and coordinates their agitation and propaganda. We will also interview Hallie Murray, the chair of USM Northeast Region and chair of the Art for Reparations campaign, who recently, with the support of USM Boston, organized an art auction and a 2-month-long gallery exhibit in Diesel Cafe in Somerville, Massachusetts, called The Struggle for African Self-Determination and Reparations, a Living History of the Uhuru Movement. So when we talk about art, we're talking about a practice of creative expression that humans have been participating in for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. Art is visual, auditory performance. It's sculpture, music, theater, dance, painting, weaving, and so many other things. Art is infinite. There is no way to define what art isn't or what it is, and that is part of what makes art so magical. But the bourgeoisie, the white ruling class, has held this beautiful practice of creativity captive and has defined it in a way that makes it inaccessible to most people. It's intentionally kept away from the people, like locked up in museums, for example. Or if it is accessible to people, it's used in a way that reproduces the ideas of imperialism. Chairman Omali Yeshitela has said, bourgeois art is something you look at and you don't get it. It's not understandable or relatable to most people. On the other hand, revolutionary art is clear and understandable because it's meant to deliver a message that mobilizes the masses of people. Revolutionary art is a form of communication, like a newspaper or magazine or a political report, but it is done in a way that comes from the depths of human creativity. Later in the web show, we will be showing examples of some really beautiful pieces made to forward the revolutionary national liberation struggles of oppressed and colonized peoples, such as things from the Vietnamese Revolution, the Cuban Revolution, and the African Revolution around the world and right here in the US. And the Art for Reparations campaign, which we'll also be talking about much more, is challenging the bourgeois definition of art in favor of creating a culture of reparations among white artists. So before we start this incredible interview, we want you all to know that our goal for this fundraiser tonight towards the Black Power Blueprint is $1,000. So throughout the web show, at any point, you can go to blackpowerblueprint.org to make a contribution to that goal. So the Black Power Blueprint is a self-determination program of Black Star Industries and the African People's Education and Defense Fund, building political and economic power in the hands of the African working class It is headquartered right here where I'm sitting at the Uhuru House at 4101 West Florissant in St. Louis, Missouri. And we already have some donations rolling in that I'm really excited to report on. So we really want to salute Virginia Wilson and Nevel for contributing $200 tonight towards the Black Power Blueprint. Uhuru. Jessica Golden, $100. Uhuru Jessica. Penny Hess, $25, also sitting in our live studio audience tonight. Casey, who is engineering tonight, is pledging $5. Jackson in St. Pete, also $5. Johan, who is also in St. Pete, $5. Allie Aiello, who is in Boston, $15. Josh Ollinger, $20. Sylvan Craig, $5. Marissa Ricchetti, $15. Santosh, $5. Janice Cant, $25. Monica Chiotti, $5. And also Laura Donovan, $10. So already we are at $540. So we're already over halfway to our goal of $1,000. So that leaves $460 remaining, which is nothing. It's a drop in the bucket of what white people owe in reparations to African people. So really salute all of you who have already donated tonight. And again, you can go to blackpowerblueprint.org at any point this evening to make a contribution. So let's get started with the interview. I'm really excited to be here with Hallie and Dexter. And my first question is going to go to Hallie. So Hallie, tell us, how did you become the chair of art for reparations and what is its mission?
Uhuru. So I just really want to appreciate being part of this discussion. Really grateful to be on here with Dexter. Just want to salute our leadership, Chairman Amalia Shatella, who without, his theory of African internationalism, we wouldn't be here tonight. So, I heard of USM online a couple years ago, and I became a member because it just made the most sense. I'd never heard the analysis that all white people owe reparations and that it's the most anti-capitalist thing you can do. So I joined right away, and we had these weekly meetings of the Reparations Challenge, and there were led by Mads. Salute to Mads. And there was a couple artists on the call, and someone was like, "Hey, let's make an Etsy store, and like all of us who want to make art and make reparations can make an Etsy store." So it started as an Etsy store, but the project developed to be, it's not just about the store. We really want to go deep into the theory of like, what does it mean to be a white person making art on stolen land using stolen resources? And art for reparations, it's about white artists using our skills and talents and access to resources and all the education we got, to benefit the African Revolution. And as someone who went to an art school, I often ask myself, like, what does it mean as a white person to make art, using these stolen resources? Who is benefiting from my creation? Do people have to suffer when white people make art, and that's really what the Art for Reparations project is about. It's not about giving up art entirely. It's just redirecting our to what end when we create something, like who benefits from our creations. And it's really Art for Reparations. It is the home for any white artist out there, white maker, musician, crafter, to really use all of your skills and talents to forward the African Revolution.
Uhuru. Thank you, Hallie. So I'm curious, what events have you done so far with the Art for Reparations campaign?
So we've done, the Reparations Challenge is a concept that existed really before Art for Reparations was made. So there's been a lot of members of USM and supporters who've done creative fundraisers such as dance parties or DJ nights. I really want to salute the New York branch of Uhuru Solidarity Movement and Carbon and Declan for hosting an epically successful dance party called No Surrender a few weeks ago. They raised over $1,000. And, we've had people do arts and crafts nights. There's been music shows, punk shows, drag nights, singing lessons, pretty much any creative skill that white people have, we can redirect it to make it about reparations. That's why this campaign is so amazing, because you don't have to really change anything about, your practice. You just change the to what end of why am I doing this. These projects just brought out everyday white people. Like, there's nothing special about me or us who are part of this project, Art for Reparations. It's just, really allows us to use our skills to forward the revolution. And a really exciting thing we did was last year when Chairman Amalia Chatella was here in Boston for our Day of Reparations event. We brought him out to the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, where the original painting of William Turner's painting, The Slave Ship, is in the Boston MFA. So we went there, and we also brought Chairwoman Penny Hess, and we just had like a artist talk in the museum right in front of the painting. And it's a really powerful piece because it looks like a beautiful sunset on the ocean, and then you look further, and it's actually a depiction of African people being thrown overboard during the Atlantic slave trade by their white slave masters, thrown into the ocean because at the time they were seen, if an African person got sick on the boat because of the awful conditions there, the white slave masters just considered them damaged goods so they threw them overboard to collect insurance money. And this is just one of the many reasons why white people owe reparations. And in the painting, you can see, there's sharks and you see blood in the painting. And, William Turner was a white artist. And maybe if USM existed back in the 1800s, he would have joined. But, Chairman Amalia Chatella really summed it up well as Penny Hess. So I believe, I don't know if we have the clip ready to watch that, but it's on the Boston USM Facebook page. You can watch the whole presentation. It's just about 20 minutes long. Can't hear you.
Uhuru. Unfortunately, we're not able to play the video on the web show, but I know I will be looking it up later on Facebook to hear the chairman's summation of that, because I know it will be really, really profound. I do want to hear more about the art auction that you held at Diesel Cafe and the 2-month-long exhibit. So can you tell us more about that, Hallie?
Yeah, it was really exciting. And this art auction is something we've talked about in USM for like 2 years. Just like, we got to do it. And it kept getting pushed back. But we were really grateful to have a local cafe in Somerville called Diesel, who was really open to us. They said they love the idea that we can have the space as long as we want. So we were like, okay, let's do this. And, to have an auction for reparations, our slogan in this committee is that, an auction for reparations is the total opposite of a slave auction, because an auction was a tool used by white oppressors to sell African human beings, put a price tag on their head and sell them on an auction block. So the fact that we were selling artwork made by white people as a stance of reparations, it's just, there's nothing been done like this in history. And it was really powerful. It was very accessible, because auctions are often seen as, they can be very bourgeois and super expensive, but this was like people just in the cafe placed a bid. It was accessible, it was affordable, and we raised over, we met our goal of $2,500 total that night. We raised $2,200 that night through art sales, plus other pledges and donations from really generous donors made us reach our goal. We had over 70 artworks up. It was just amazing. Like, Art for Reparations auction in this awesome cafe that's well respected in the community. And I really just wanted to spend a minute to really thank all our donors for this, and especially the Diesel Cafe and the art curator, Krista McHugh, who really worked with us, stayed late with us to install, just had really good feedback on the design of it. So really appreciate Krista. And of course, the Art for Reparations secretary, Laura Donovan. Big shout out to Laura, who did so much to help keep us on track, keeping our POA up to date in our timeline. So here's a list of the artists and donors. Abby Ross, and these are people from all around the country. We had a bunch of folks from Boston, but people from all over really, mailed us their physical artwork, and it was hanging up in the cafe. So Abby Ross, Adelaide Smith, Ali Aiello, Aggie Parledis, Andrea Brown, Blair LeBlanc, Carol Locke, Carmen Anderson, Kathy Steiner, Caleb Teig, Chick Burns, Chloe King, Curtis Tudin, Erica Brooks, Episor Delman, Jenna Carlson, Isabel Watson, Katie Ankowitz, Laura Donovan, Kevin Donovan, Maggie Swain, Mara Ratu, Mari Schofer, Matt Bennett Feeman, Megan Catcher, Melissa Lackey, this is going on, Michael Stutz, Michelle Moscone, my mom donated a lot of art, Noah Grigney, Parts and Crafts, where we're filming this, was really generous in letting us use the space to set up for the art and framing stuff. Chairwoman Penny Hess donated a painting of the slave ship that we were talking about earlier. Rebecca Shenfield, Rose Latoul, Ruby Gittleson donated some of her mother's paintings, really beautiful works that all sold. Sam Day, Santosh Yarabula, Teresa Burns, Wendy Craig, and Zachary Gabbard. And, you know, really thanks to all of our attendees who came out and placed a bid. So that's a big list of people who were affected by the work we did here for this auction. And we've gotten so much feedback. People said it was really a good time. You know, people said it was the most interesting progressive event they've ever seen at Diesel Cafe. So I really appreciate the donors. And just to say a little bit about the exhibit, so the night after the auction finished, we started to, we took down the art that sold and we installed this 2-month gallery exhibit about the whole history of the Uhuru movement, because what better topic for a gallery display than the rich revolutionary history of African colonized people struggling for their freedom. So, and this is a main street that the cafe is on, and right when you walk in, boom, there's a whole picture of this National Central Committee of the African People's Socialist Party, just like right there. Then we have an Uhuru Planet storefront, which is so beautiful, and the effects of this, we're still going to be feeling this for a long time in Boston, because Uhuru Planet Revolutionary Apparel is the t-shirt project of the Uhuru movement that I have the honor of coordinating in APSC, and it was written in Chairman's political report to the 7th Congress, the Vanguard, to build the economic hubs of the region. And Uhuru Planet is the institution of the region, and, we're building it. It's there. People can buy a burning spear with their coffee. They can buy a copy of Vanguard when they get their sandwich for lunch in the white community. So we're really, bringing African internationalism deep into the white community, just where everyday white folks are chilling, doing their computer stuff with it, getting a coffee. So it's really revolutionary work that we're doing here. Uhuru. Oh, can't hear you. You're on mute.
I was saying thank you for that report, Hallie. And yeah, it just sounds so incredibly powerful. And I was just going to say that I know I was getting emails from you late at night or super early in the morning saying, it's 4 a.m., the day before the auction, there's so much more to do, but you really, really pulled it off. And I also just really want to appreciate all of those people that you listed off as the donors and all of the volunteers and everyone else who made the event happen. So that's really, really incredible. And do we have some pictures to show? Unfortunately, okay, yeah, we'll be able to look at some pictures of the auction in the gallery later. So thank you, Hallie, for all of that, and we're soon going to move on to the portion of the interview with Dexter, but I want to thank another donor first before we do that. And so I just really want to appreciate Cubby Palmer, who contributed $25 tonight. Cubby is a member of USM here in St. Louis, so Uhuru, Cubby, thank you. And with all of your support over the past 2 years, everyone who has donated and volunteered, this project, the Black Power Blueprint, under the leadership of Deputy Chair Onazene Yeshitela in St. Louis, transformed a nearly condemned building into a state-of-the-art Uhuru House Community Center in only 10 months here in St. Louis. And do we have pictures of this? Yes. So using the St. Louis Land Reutilization Authority, or the LRA, which sells abandoned properties on the north side of St. Louis, APEDF, the African People's Education and Defense Fund, acquired and demolished another vacant, decrepit property on College Avenue, just a few blocks down from the Uhuru House, and the land has been cleared of the building and any debris, and it's going to be a community basketball court and outdoor health program. So you're going to be able to see what it used to look like a few months ago, and the whole demolition project that was done by a construction company here in St. Louis. Okay, so we had a huge demolition day, and Black Power Blueprint volunteers, including members of INPEDM, the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, and USM, and other Northside neighborhood residents were able to come out, and we had a live stream and a huge celebration. It was a lot of fun, and I had the honor of being there. And what was left over was a giant pile of wood and bricks, and the workers were able to clear all of that out, and it became this empty lot. It was just covered in dirt, and then they laid down straw over that, and now when you drive by, you can see this cleared land, and you can actually see the vision of a basketball court there, and it's really incredible to get to see that happening. And then also, another part of the project, across from the Uhuru House, we are seeing the plans that were done by a landscape architect coming to life for the One Africa, One Nation Marketplace and the Gary Brooks Garden. And before that, there was also some abandoned, crumbling buildings that couldn't be saved. And to prepare for the marketplace and the garden, there were weekends of intense volunteer work days this summer, and people who were able to come out dismantled a really disgusting pond that was there, cut down and hauled away a dead tree, replanted some trees, moved tons of heavy bricks and dirt and concrete slabs. And it was also, I had the honor of being there, and it was a lot of fun. It was really hard work, but it was great to be there. And since then, Jath Construction was able to grade the lot. And it is now, we're about to have it paved and have really other exciting improvements for the land. So why is the Black Power Blueprint necessary in St. Louis? Why are we doing this? So St. Louis has 25,000 abandoned buildings, mostly concentrated in the African community, the north side of St. Louis. And these are total eyesores. Imperialism has just left to rot where there was once a thriving black economic development and community. And there were movie theaters and boxing rings and dance clubs. But now we don't see any of that. And 60% of the black community in St. Louis is living in poverty. In fact, 30% is living in deep poverty, living on less than $5 a day. And the Black Power Blueprint is led by this community to seize political power and economic self-reliance. So your support tonight makes this possible, along with all of the volunteers and the contractors that have been working so graciously with APEDF to get this done. And tonight we are committed to raise $1,000 for this incredible historic project. It's like nothing else in the entire world. And we're just trying to raise $1,000 towards it tonight. And we are calling on white people specifically to contribute as an act of reparations. So again, go to blackpowerblueprint.org at any point tonight to make a donation. So with that, I want to move on to the second portion of our interview tonight with Dexter. So Uhuru, Dexter, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight. And my first question for you is, can you tell us about your role as an artist in the African Revolution?
Oh, Carly. And first, I just really want to just appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. I want to appreciate Conrad Hadley and USM Boston for hosting me this evening. And, I just want to also appreciate, Chairman Molly Chatella just for, again, just having just the vision for the, the strategy of African People Solidarity Committee and USM for being Black power in the white face to infiltrate the white community and, to extract reparations for African people. So as far as my journey as an artist, I'm a photographer. And what initially inspired me to be a photographer was really, just this interest I had in capturing people, capturing moments, happy moments, stuff like that. But as I began to like develop politically, I really developed a real deep appreciation for for artists who would use their camera lens, use their pens, their pencils, use their paint brushes and their easels to promote the revolution and to really depict images of revolution, images that empowered African and colonized people. And just on a personal level, a particular artist that inspired me early on was the work of Emory Douglas, who was the I believe his title was Minister of Culture or Revolutionary Artist for the Black Panther Party. What he did was depict images of the African working class and other colonized peoples of the world in positions of power, which is something that hadn't been seen, in 500 years of colonial domination, and they're powerful images, just as dangerous as any weapon, as any gun or knife, because it would inspire the masses of people to act and inspire the masses of people to revolution, to organize. And so that was really, crucial as far as my own development. So it was really at that point that, at the time I was, as many photographers, I was really concerned with, making sure I was trying to book photo shoots with up and coming models or up and coming, fashion brands, etc., stuff like that. Things that photographers are told that they have to aspire toward. But then I realized that the most significant thing I can do with my talents, as an African person, as a revolutionary, I have a responsibility to use anything I have, all my talents, anything that I think I'm good or have decent at, to contribute to, the struggle, the African revolution, and that's just the highest application of my talent. So yes, that's me as an artist. So,
Wow.
Uhuru, Dexter. That was a really beautiful response. I really appreciate that. So Chairman Omali Yeshitela has spoken on the topic of so-called free speech and how it relates to art. So would you be able to expand upon that idea?
Yeah. Because there's no free speech. That doesn't exist. It's not real. It's never existed for African and colonized people, right? The only freedom of speech there is the freedom to promote and perpetuate colonialism and ideas and an agenda that supports colonialism and capitalism. But any attempt by African people historically to utilize the so-called freedom of speech to advocate for our own independence, advocate for our own dignity and our own political and social agenda, they've always been stomped out historically. So freedom of speech is not real. It's a lie. An example that jumps to mind is there was recently enough there was this organizer at Dallas, Texas, I believe. Kim Balogan. And he had been criticizing the state. He had been criticizing the police and criticizing police brutality and the African community. And what he was for his freedom of speech, he was victimized, he was persecuted, he was arrested. He had his house ransacked. It was also actually interesting. Apparently there was a copy of Robert Williams' Negroes with Guns, which was a book at the time that was really inspiring, Africans to organize, inspiring Africans to arm struggle. And that book was confiscated. Again, freedom of speech for African people, what that looks like. And, just another instance of there was a force, I believe his name was Robert Peralta. He was another one who was criticizing this vicious police attacks in our community. He was criticizing on social media. He was arrested for it. Corinne Gaines. Corinne Gaines was an example that many people might remember. She had been consistently criticizing the police, criticizing the state, and had been consistently persecuted by the state. She had been harassed. She had been threatened to have her child taken away from her. She was fired from her job. And again, utilizing her freedom of speech. And that's what got her as an African person, an African woman. And that all, culminated in her, ended up in a standoff with the police, where they had guns drawn on her. There was a door between her and the police on the outside. She had barricaded herself in She had used Facebook, utilized Facebook live stream of freedom of speech to broadcast this encounter with the police, and what happened was her live stream was cut short. Facebook, also being an arm of the state, just like the police are, they're working together. So they cut off the live stream. While this live stream was cut off, this woman was killed. He was gunned down, and that's freedom of speech. And in the movement, we regularly have our live streams and our videos. So everybody here was familiar with that. We regularly had our live streams cut short or compromised, sabotaged in some way, flagged, removed from the internet, so-called free speech or whatever kind of, hate speech or whatever kind of nonsense reason they come up with. I mean, I've seen on multiple occasions our content that we post on YouTube, again, utilizing our free speech, so-called free speech, to promote an African revolution, to promote self-determination and political independence for African people. Well, when we get to that is different, there'll be large like blurbs of audio like just muted, completely muted, and it's not an issue with your internet connection. It's not an issue with your phone or your laptop. It's that the audio has been cut. And it'd be crucial audio in the live stream. It'd be like, for instance, you can come and join us at. It sounds silly, but that's really what has happened. I mean, again, there is no free speech. There's no free speech for advocating for the self-determination of African people. Chairman Mao used to tell her, going back to even 1966, there was a mural in St. Petersburg City Hall, I believe, where it depicted African people in a really dehumanizing way. It was like a minstrel show, that kind of like Sambo kind of thing, and we're entertaining white people. And for some time, SNCC, which Chairman was a member of the time, SNCC advocated for this mural to be taken down. They utilized their freedom of speech. This is dehumanizing imagery. It is demoralizing. We need to take it down. It's disrespectful to take it down, and the state refused. So what Chairman did was remove it himself. The people had to take action. The people have always had to take action. Right? You've always had to take action. So he took action and removed it. And first, exercising freedom of speech, Chairman was locked up in jail, slapped with a whole bunch of charges. I mean, this is how freedom of speech has been rewarded, for African people. So it doesn't exist. It's like, so we have freedom of speech to the extent that we want to advocate and promote for this social system as it currently is. That's the extent of our freedom of speech. But aside from that, that's not real. There is no freedom of speech. It's owned by white power, by this social system. But African colonized people have no freedom of speech in this society. Yeah.
Wow, great. Yeah.
Uhuru, yeah, you're so spot on, and I've been thinking about this recently too, of like, people say that you should, know your rights, but African people don't have rights under this imperialist colonialist system. And, the cops and, the government, whoever, can get away with doing whatever it is they want to do to African and other colonized people, no matter what the law is. So you're totally spot on. And yeah, I just really appreciate that story about the chairman and the mural, and that's just so powerful. And yeah, I just really appreciate this whole movement for being a movement that is about both theory and practice. And so, the chairman always exemplifies that, and that is, one example of the chairman putting theory into practice by taking the mural down. And that the mural is, what I was talking about earlier about a piece of art that supports imperialism. It is imperialist art. And one thing that we really wanted to address tonight is how art can be used to destroy imperialism. And so we wanted to show some really beautiful pieces of propaganda from the Vietnamese Communist Party, the Chinese Communist Party, and the Cuban and Russian revolutions, and of course from the African People's Socialist Party. So this one is the U.S. out of Vietnam, piece of propaganda from Vietnam. The next one we're going to see is a piece of propaganda from Cuba showing from China, excuse me. It's from China, showing solidarity with the Vietnamese struggle. And then the next one is from the Free Desi Woods campaign that was led by the African People's Socialist Party.
Mhm.
And these are just a few examples of some really incredible propaganda that has been put out in even just the past few decades, of many revolutionary struggles that have happened around the world. There it is, Free Desi Woods campaign. So, Dexter, can you talk a little bit more about the role of art in the struggle for revolution?
Yes. So art has a very significant role in the struggle. I think it's like a vital part of this whole war of ideas that we're in. And the war of ideas, it's like the propaganda, culture, art front of the struggle between the colonizer and the colonized. And as far as this war of ideas goes, we have the ideas and the agenda of the colonizers on one hand, and the ideologies that perpetuate colonialism on one end, and then we have the ideologies of the culture, the arts that promotes the agenda of the colonizers coming to power on the other end. And so, in that sense, art is a serious weapon, and it's as deadly as any gun or as any knife. Um, as far as the role of the artist, I remember I was speaking to a comrade. We were talking about what a revolutionary artist looked like, what a revolutionary artist, what major revolutionary artist, and he said, simply verbatim, he said, an artist that promotes a goddamn revolution. It's simple, but it sounds simple, but it's really not that simple, because it's not something you're gonna find often. You're not gonna find art that promotes the revolution, and that's deliberate. The artist, the role of art, it can inspire. It can inspire. A single piece of art can inspire millions of people to act or not to act. A single piece of art can inspire millions of colonized people to struggle for their self-determination or to not struggle at all. And that's like the potency of art. Art is no joke. Everything, as we say in the movement, no art. It's not Nothing is innocent. No art is innocent. And everything we draw, everything we paint, every song we sing, they all have an agenda. So the artist has a role, and again, just these different kind of bourgeois conceptions of like art. Like, I've been to a poetry slam or two in my day, and and oftentimes you're hearing people, I'm an artist, I'm an artist. My art is me. It's how I express myself. But how you express yourself, whether you're cognizant of it or not, it has an agenda and it promotes an agenda every single time it does. And so the artist has a responsibility to promote the revolution. It's simple as that. They have a responsibility to depict images and make music and write stories and write articles, just create things that compel African people and colonized people and the people of the world, honestly, to engage in the revolutionary struggle. They have that responsibility. And so again, go back to myself as an artist. I really, that's a responsibility that I internalized. And for instance, with my own photography, like instead of doing what I've been doing years ago, with capturing images of trees, I thought it looked edgy. And I've really prioritized like really capturing again this revolution, capturing revolutionary heroes, past and present, capturing we have this powerful reparations campaign out of St. Petersburg right now, where we have the first reparations candidate in the world, on the struggle to be elected for District 7 City Council of St. Petersburg. And I've contributed to some of the imagery. And some of that imagery has been used to inspire people of St. Petersburg and Florida community to contribute to that campaign, get involved in that campaign, people countrywide, people worldwide to get engaged, to get involved in the struggle. And that's like the highest application of my art. So that's what I need to do with my art. And if me or anybody else who considers themselves any kind of artist isn't, consistently consistently capturing its revolution and, protecting its revolution and encouraging others and inspiring others to join its revolution with their art, then they're not making revolutionary art. They're making reactionary art. They're making reactionary art. They're making art that in fact deepens the oppression of African and colonized people. So the artist has a choice to make, and art is a weapon, and you choose how you're going to use the weapon. So,
Uhuru, thank you, Dexter. I really appreciated the entire response, and you said something like art is political. Obviously, that's kind of the point of this whole thing. But yeah, art is political because everything is political, whether you recognize that or not. And a lot of white people like to shy away from that, and they think that they can escape the politics. Don't bring politics into this. But everything is political, and so why not use your politics, your skills, your talents to forward something that is real. And I think that's what this Art for Reparations campaign is all about. And I do believe we have pictures to show now. So what you're looking at now is the gallery exhibit that is currently being displayed at Diesel Cafe in Somerville, Massachusetts. So this is the wall that has the National Central Committee of the African People's Socialist Party.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, and again, see, that is revolutionary.
This section is called something like the struggle through the years. Hallie, would you like to say anything more about this section?
Yeah, Victory Through the Decades. Is it the one with like a ton of photos? Yeah, so those are, I'm really grateful for the Agitprop department of the Uhuru movement and the Burning Spear for letting us use the archival photos. So the large one in the center is the first International World Tribunal on Reparations to African People. It's a stage, and there's chairman there, and that was in 1982 back in New York City. And this is, we're in a time where, a few weeks ago in this cafe there was like presidential debate discussions, and where people are talking about reparations. So this whole gallery exhibit just like brings it home. It's like you can't talk about reparations and not mention the Uhuru movement. You can't, or mentioning Chairman Omalia Shatella. Above that, the two portraits are Chairman with Huey P. Newton, his famous quote about the burning spear. And oh yeah, sorry. Oh, here we are. Okay. Is this? Oh, I can plug it in. Yeah. What else? What else is there? Yeah, just like. There's the Free Jesse Woods photo, and then there's like people just on their computers, doing what you would do at a cafe, which I've definitely done there. And it's just we have our branch meetings for USM now in this cafe right under these photos. And we had a new person come out yesterday who came because they saw the flyers in the front of at the Uhuru Planet storefront, and they emailed us and was like, hey, I'm looking to get active, like I want to do reparations work. And then we put them to work, and they were like, thank you for just letting me get right to work. We're doing drops this weekend, and we definitely want to do some like tour, like a gallery tour, and explain what all the photos are as an event coming up.
And again, this is what the responsibility of the artist is, to depict the struggles, ongoing struggle, a live and present struggle, not even just some historical images, but a live and ongoing struggle that people can participate in today. And that's the role of, again, the art is a recruitment tool as well, as you just stated. And that's the role of the artist. I mean, oftentimes what you see in cafes like this is, photos of, again, edgy trees and random abstract imagery, which mean nothing. But that's the waste of this artist's skills. But what an artist needs to do is utilize their skills to organize, and utilize the skills to promote the struggle. So this is that proper application of an artist's skills. So yeah, I really appreciate that. And this is effective, powerful propaganda. Yeah. This is the role of the artist.
Yeah. It's powerful to be there. And I don't know if you have the Uhuru Planet storefront photo. So
That is
one.
what is up on the screen now.
Oh, okay. So yeah, this is, you know, just that this is here. I mean, yeah, look at this display. We have free literature. We have our USM brochures, the Black Power Blueprint brochures, which are almost gone by now. And I already noticed that one of Penny's books, Overturning the Culture of Violence, was sold. It just, it's so exciting for me to have coordinated this, as a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee, who is tasked with building Uhuru Planet, build this economic institution of the Uhuru movement that will fund the Black Power Blueprint, that will fund an Uhuru house in Boston in the future, for Impede in Boston. That's going to happen. And it's like, I go there every day and I just like look at this, because this is the beginning. This is ground zero for a Uhuru house in Boston, or a storefront that's really, answering the call that Chairman Omali Yeshitela laid out in Vanguard, and the political report was build the economic hub. And we've already, we've sold maybe a handful of things right now, but just the fact that this exists, people who walk in just to get a coffee don't even expect to like be hit in the face with like African International stuff, just, but like in a beautiful way. It's like, pick up your spear, pick up a coffee. If you're in the Boston area, I really encourage you to go to the Diesel Cafe, check out our storefront, give them a tip. They're really amazing staff there. And yeah, and then we have another photo where that's all the t-shirts, labeled. And then there's the next wall is some artwork that didn't sell during the auction, but is still up for sale. And, some of the shirts. So if any, there is some artwork left for sale. You can see some of it at artforreparations.org. We had over like 80 artworks, so a majority of them sold, but there's still just like a lot of content left. So you can go to the website and scroll to the gallery at the bottom. You can see a collection of artwork that's still for sale, or you can walk into the cafe and you can buy it right there from the counter. And again, all of the artwork and this efforts is really to support the Black Power Blueprint. So if you haven't donated yet, I really encourage you to donate. I want to pledge $10 tonight to see the success of the African People's Socialist Party, to see, to see all the phases of the Black Power Blueprint really come to fruition. So I'm really glad to put in $10 tonight.
Uhuru, I'd also like to pledge $10 tonight as well.
I love it.
Uhuru, Hallie, and Dexter, thank you so much for those contributions. That's incredible. I think we do have a couple more pictures. What's on the screen right now is, I think, oh, never mind. It is now a piece of art that was done by Chick, who I think is a USM member in Boston. So you can see it on the screen now.
It's probably the next one. There's a little delay from what we're seeing. Yeah, Chick Burns, salute to Chick. They are a USM member here in Boston, and were super helpful during the auction. Chick was leading, making sure that all artists got their art, that that it was wrapped up and packaged properly, and in the packaging put in a Day of Reparations flyer for our big event where we're bringing chairmen to Somerville Theater on Tuesday, October 15th, and put in a Black Power Blueprint flyer. And Chick brought out their friends too that were really helpful in installing the exhibit and wrapping up at the end, because we've never done an art auction. We planned it as best we could. Of course, some things didn't go how we planned, but there was a really solid team. Really salute Curtis Tudin, and Ali Ayello and Mara and Sam, our local forces, Mary Fairbanks, our whole branch that really came together to put this on.
So then the next piece that we're showing now is by Laura Donovan. Did you want to say anything more about that, Hallie?
Yeah, I just really salute Laura for just being such a solid secretary. I don't see it here yet, but I think it's the morning flight. Oh, it should be turned the other way, but I think it's a lithograph, and she's a really amazing artist and a great African internationalist. I really salute you, Laura. Thank you for being such a great secretary, and just, really sticking to the timelines. That's what we're about. We don't do things on our own or just when we get to them. That we follow a timeline, we follow democratic centralism, and I just really salute Laura for keeping us on track.
Uhuru. Okay, so one last piece that we're going to show tonight is by Teresa.
Uhuru, yes. Teresa Burns is also a member of USM in New York City. She has her own gallery space there, and we've had events there. The New York City USM branch held the All Diamonds or Blood Diamonds tour there in her gallery space. So she is definitely a supporter of the movement. This piece is really beautiful. It's still available for sale. It's currently on display in the cafe, and you can see a close-up photo of it at artforreparations.org. It's pretty big. It's like, I don't know, 2 feet wide, and it's a watercolor. There's really a lot of texture to it when you get close up. And I really appreciate Teresa for, as an established artist in the, living in the Lower East Side, like fully connected in the art gallery scene, acknowledges that the Uhuru Solidarity Movement is the place for white artists, and, contributed her, not only had she contributed her artwork, but in the past, her gallery space, her access to her networks and things like that. So I really salute Teresa for being a member and a supporter of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement.
Uhuru. Thank you so much for explaining all of those, and thank you to everyone again who was able to donate a piece of art to the art auction. Every piece made it such a hugely successful event. So I just want to remind everyone that this is a fundraiser for the Black Power Blueprint, and you can go to blackpowerblueprint.org to contribute to our goal of raising $1,000 towards this incredible project. And I also want to ask everyone to share this video right now on Facebook, on your timelines, message people, text your friends and family, and let them know that this is happening so that we can raise the last $435 to our goal tonight. We're over halfway there, so we can do it. So everyone, share, and get the word out that this is happening. And I just wanted to share a little bit personally why I support the Black Power Blueprint. I've been living in St. Louis for a little over 5 years now. I moved here in August of 2014, just 2 weeks after the murder of Mike Brown by St. Louis police. And Mike Brown's murder by the police is, it's something that everybody knows about because of the incredible and monumental Ferguson uprising that happened afterwards. But I've been here as the death toll continues to climb. African after African after African person has been murdered by the police or through horizontal violence here in St. Louis. And I've participated in countless protests and direct actions, but none of it ever seemed to really be doing anything. But the Black Power Blueprint is a real solution to all the problems that St. Louis City residents are facing. And it is bringing true development and food, health programs, jobs, housing, and it's giving the community spaces to gather together. And I support the Black Power Blueprint because it is the only group of people who are making really true positive change here in a city that is still very deeply divided. And I want to say that I also am going to pledge $5 tonight. So I believe that brings us to $590. I think that's correct. So we're getting really close. So keep sharing, keep donating if you are able to at blackpowerblueprint.org. Do we have a video? Okay. So I think with that, I'm going to share a few announcements before we close out for tonight. So our Day of Reparations to African People tour is kicking off in Philadelphia this upcoming Monday, September 23rd. From there, it will travel to a total of 8 cities, not including cities that are having viewing parties. And Chairman Omali Shatella and other party members and solidarity speakers will be speaking on why reparations must be a revolutionary demand. On Friday, September 28th is the Black Power Blueprint Poetry Night right here in Aquaba Hall at the Uhuru House in St. Louis, Missouri. It's going to be a $5 entry, but it, I believe, is a fundraiser for the Black Power Blueprint as well. And the theme is going to be Celebrate African Women. In St. Pete, the campaign that Dexter referred to a few minutes ago, the campaign to elect Eritha Akilé Cainion, is really intensifying right now. And as some of you may have already heard, Akilé is a leader in the African People's Socialist Party who is running for District 7 City Council in St. Petersburg, Florida, on a platform of unity through reparations to the Black community and make the Southside Black again. And she made it past the primaries a few weeks ago, and so now we're in the general election, which is going to be on November 5th, I believe, and her victory will carve a path for St. Pete to become the first reparations city in the history of this country and of the world. And then lastly, we want to invite you to join the Uhuru Solidarity Movement social media committee to plan and promote these web shows that you're watching right now and other events that we have going on. So please contact info@uhurusolidarity.org if you are interested in getting involved. Or you can also write in the comments in the Facebook thing that you're watching right now. So, oh, we have another donation. So, Uhuru salute to Paula Lipsy for her pledge of $20 tonight. And also a huge salute to Kota, who is a member of Impedum, who pledged $10 tonight. So Uhuru, Laura, and Kota. And that brings us to $615 tonight out of our goal of $1,000. And just to remind everyone, if you made a pledge tonight, we really, really, really appreciate you for doing that. And just go ahead and go to blackpowerblueprint.org anytime tonight to submit that pledge. And it's not too late. If you haven't contributed already, go ahead and go to the website and make that contribution tonight, tomorrow, or any other day of the year. I really want to thank our engineer for the evening, Casey Mackey, who's been doing an incredible job. We really appreciate her for her work. Also, Chairwoman Penny Hess, who's in the live studio audience. Thank you for being here. Uhuru. I want to thank Amanda, who is in St. Pete, who is helping with the pledges that are rolling in. And also really, again, want to salute and appreciate Hallie and Dexter for being on this interview and for the incredible art auction and gallery that's up right now. If you're in the Boston area, make sure to go out and see it. It'll be up for the next 3 months, I believe. And thank you to everyone who is watching. Thank you so much, everyone who contributed. And we will be back again next month with another web show. So, actually, surprise, surprise, we have the clip of the chairman that Hallie was talking about earlier. So we're going to go ahead and watch that real quick right now.
Right on.
Get it, cool.
Is simply a reflection of a huge contradiction with the entire continent. 12 million square miles came under assault by Europeans who began the process of kidnapping Africans and transforming human beings into property and capital, etc. So this is something that's really important, but I also think it's important to understand that the people who suffered this did not do this portrait, this picture. This picture was done by somebody else, and so you don't hear, and it does not express the viewpoint or the opinion of those whose children and who themselves were in that water facing the sharks or whatever. That's been the missing element throughout this entire history, this entire story that we hear about, whether slavery was beneficent and just some good slavers and bad slavers, as if there could be something called these good stories as regards to what was happening to these Africans. And the story that's now being told is their children and their mothers and fathers and relatives who were left on the continent of Africa. And of course, the ongoing rape of Africa that results in the political and economic configuration of Africa today, and really the political and economic configuration of the world. So I think this is really important that we should look at this and have an opportunity to have this discussion, open the question up, because as well-intentioned as artists may well have been, and probably was, it's a poor substitute for what the victims of this terror would have to say. And that's a really important thing, because the victims have been silenced, and what this has contributed to is Europeans, white people, sort of being subjects of history, and the rest of us being objects of history, and white people never having the ability of hearing an opinion of white people from anyone except themselves. And it has not been a process of self-criticism. Society can't criticize itself, only its victims can criticize it. This incident here.
Uhuru. So clearly a very powerful video clip that we just got to watch. And I just wanted, before we close, I just wanted to open it back up to Dexter or Hallie if you wanted to say anything before we close tonight.
Art scene, just join the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. You can get active in the Art Reparations Project. If you are a member anywhere out there, or just a white person, and you want to hold an auction for reparations, using your art friends community, just contact us. We'll be happy to help you set that up. I really encourage other branches to do one. Now that we did all the work of figuring out how it will look like, we can send you our plan of action and help you get it off the ground. So I really appreciate you, Carly, for emceeing this event. And I'm just, I really appreciate Dexter. I'm so glad to see this comrade. And, I'm really honored to have been invited to speak here tonight. So thank you, Uhuru.
Uhuru, I appreciate being asked to speak here tonight. Just reflecting on that video, it was a very powerful video. And it just really further emphasizes how, just the foundation of this entire economy truly is on the backs, has been on the backs of African people since the beginning. And just to see, African people just, go from being these people who were leading thriving civilizations to a people who are reduced to, to objects and items and commodities, and just, cast aside because, they got ill, because they're kept in such disgusting, tight confines, and, in a way to not have them infect the other cargo. Frankly, they're tugged from aboard. It's just sickening. And I think that that image really does, depict the historical, attacks done on African people. And it's revolting. It's also kind of interesting to me. I want to, when I get a chance, I want to go to the Unified Art to see it again, myself. But I wonder if even the criticism from the artists, might have been there. Was it focused on the fact that these Africans were thrown overboard and eaten by sharks, or was the criticism really that they were enslaved to begin with? Where was the artist coming from exactly? It's the thing that I wonder. But reparations now, and I appreciate being asked to come here tonight. And I want to make a similar call that Hallie did. I'll make a similar call to all artists, African colonized artists, who want your art to be truly, utilized so for the struggle for the African and colonized people, please, join in PDUM, get involved in PDUM Info and Ed. Art is a weapon, and it's a serious weapon in the hands of African colonized people. So if you want that art to be utilized in the best, most fulfilling, righteous way possible, please join in PDUM. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you for those closing remarks. And thank you again, Hallie and Dexter, for this incredible interview. Everyone who's watching, come to a Day of Reparations event in a city near you, or watch it online if you can't. Volunteer for the campaign to elect Eritha Akilé Cainion for District 7 City Council in St. Petersburg, Florida, and join USM or Impedum. And so with that, thank you all again so much. And unity through reparations, Uhuru.
Uhuru. Unity through reparations.
Unity through reparations. Uhuru.
Damn.